So yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I think it's like one of the greatest paradoxes that a mentally healthy person can't fully relate to a mentally sick person. Not that they can't help a mentally sick person, but it's entirely different like headspace and just like way of living. It just made me start thinking about my own struggles. Like a few years ago, I was pretty bad, both mentally and physically. But like everyone, I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm still learning. And yeah, I'm feeling significantly better than I was before. And look, it's not that I can't remember how it was, but it's just like been recontextualized in my mind. And I can see the good parts of the world and even the good parts of my own struggles. But like at the time when you're in that state, however, it's just way harder to feel those good parts and see, what's worthwhile for the future. For me, at least, it's really hard to relate to someone who's going through the exact same thing I go through. Applying these things just seem really simple, but like an anxious or depressed brain just doesn't work like that. I think I've noticed it most in my writing recently. I'm writing an anxious character, and at times struggling to put myself in those shoes I wore less than a year ago. I think I'm almost scared to put myself there as, feeling better is still fresh to me, and I don't want to regress back to how I was. Well, that's my theory anyway. This is why therapy only works if the person's like willing to work on themselves, not if they were like pushed into it. Yeah, I think that's another thing I've struggled with, like whether it's conscious or subconscious, you can't help people who don't want to be helped themselves. You just gotta wait for them. If they do come to you and seek advice, then you can give it, but they have to make that decision. I just find it really frustrating because I think I know what's best for someone or like what's gonna help them out, and I try and push them towards it. But I'm learning this is obviously not the way to go about it. The person who knows what is best for themselves is themselves. Yeah, and this is just a place I'm working on and growing by reminding myself that I can only control my actions and what they really need is my support. While I was writing this, I heard Matthew Hughesy say this on Jay Shetty's podcast, and I just thought it did a great job of summing up, what I'm trying to say.
This stuff is so hard. Change is so hard. Leaving a situation.
So hard.
It's changing anything is hard. Like this is one of the things that one of my gripes, I suppose, sometimes with some of the self-development rhetoric is that it makes things sound so much easier than they are. And it trivializes what are really difficult things. Most people, if they could just turn off their depression or their anxiety, if there was just a switch where they could go, they would do it.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible thing to feel. So the fact that they are feeling it must mean it's very difficult for them to not feel that.
Yeah.
If I was going to say something to my younger self or someone who's currently suffering from depression or anxiety, I would just say all of those things that I've deemed as BS tactics, look, they do actually work. We're all different people, so not all of them are going to work. And I'm personally just starting to find what works for me. But here's what I would have said. Firstly, when you're ready, you need to let someone or something help you. Secondly, you got to start off small and be kind to yourself. I think what I do a lot of the time is I would try and attack the biggest, worst, hardest addiction or distraction or whatever I was stressed out about. And it just, attacking that big scary thing, and then I go, oh, can't do it, can't beat it. And, then I would, go back and regress. Whereas what you got to do is start with little things and work your way up, work your confidence up. It's like any other skill, that you just work at it every day. And thirdly, this is probably the worst one for me, just give it time. Even if you can't give grace with yourself right now, just stick at it and don't expect massive results overnight. I think giving myself this creative outlet and a purpose has really helped. I'm starting to be true to myself lately, and you can see that reflected in my YouTube channel and my life. Yeah, I was just thinking about this stuff a lot, and I was curious if anyone else relates to what I'm talking about.